If I... we're just getting the attendees coming in now. I'm just going to hang on just to see how many we've got. We start. Perfect. Okay. Welcome everyone, session 4. This is our live panel debate. It's going to be on what will the future of business travel look like post-lockdown. Joining me today, I've got Yvonne Reay-Scott. Yvonne is an executive assistant for Mount Anvil and also London ambassador to Maiden Voyage. Yvonne is an executive assistant to the Chief Executive Officer of Mount Anvil, a multi-award winning EA and mentor. She's got over 30 years experience in the industry, and she actively advocates her role as a career choice and regularly presents at PA events and conferences within the UK. She also contributes to editorial in industry magazines, sharing tips, advice for organising ambitious, large-scale domestic and overseas events. So, welcome to Yvonne. Secondly up, we have Carolyn Pearson. Caroline is actually the founder and CEO of Maiden Voyage. Following them from a long and successful career in leading technology and e-commerce for teams, for well-known media and travel brands, Caroline left her corporate life to launch Maiden Voyage. Maiden Voyage today is now the leading name in diverse traveller safety, helping organisations globally to support their female and LGBTQ communities and business travellers, through a range of training, consultancy and e-learning programmes. She's a well-known speaker on the subject of inclusivity. So it's been a long day for me. In business travel safety and duty of care, and has been widely featured in the press, in the New York Times and CNN and Forbes. So welcome to Caroline. Next we've got Donna just joining us now. Hi Donna. Nice to meet you. Donna is the Director of Sales and Solutions for Capita.
Having technical problems.
Oh, bless you. It's all right. You're on now. We're all good.
For some reason, I've had to join via my mobile phone. I don't know. Apologies, I'm a few minutes late.
Don't worry. We can still see you, so it's all good. We're all good. So Donna's got over 30 years experience of business travel. She's held positions across Capita and events, working in a variety of roles, including account management, operations, business development and customer solutions. Donna's dedication to continuous learning alongside her determination for finding and developing the right solution for customers means she's always looking for the next innovation. So welcome to Donna. And lastly, we have Clive Wratten. He is the CEO of the Business Travel Association. Hi, Clive. Clive was appointed the position of Chief Executive of the Business Travel Association on September the 2nd. Clive joined the Business Travel Association from a private equity-backed travel partnership company in Amber Road, where he was Chief Executive Officer. Before joining there, he was General Manager at Etihad Airways. He joined there from HRG, where he held the position of Head International Business Group. Clive has also held senior positions with Gulf Air, Qantas and British Airways as well. Clive previously has been an executive board member of the BTA and has served as director body of airline representatives in the UK, a council member of the IATA Airline Joint Passenger Committee and advisor to BCHN UK College of Nutrition. So welcome, Clive. So we've got a great panel that was lined up for us. Lots of different experiences, lots of different backgrounds. So I'm going to come to you first, Clive. How comfortable do you feel employees are going to be about travelling again?
Well, I think it's going to be a quite difficult thing to start with, and confidence is a key thing for everybody getting back travelling. So from the industry point of view, what we need is for people to understand what the experience is going to be around, what the safety and security and well-being structure is across the whole industry. So whether that's from hotels, aviation, taxis, we need to help get people to understand that there's at least a minimum standard that they will receive when they travel. And I think it's just then about information coming out from the industry to share around what people's experiences are. But genuinely, I think it's going to be a bit of a slow uptake, although when you see that and some of the recent flights, particularly out of Germany, tourism flights, people are kind of willing to travel. So whether that's reflected in business travel, I think is a little less clear, but all of it is around confidence that people's well-being and their safety is not going to be compromised in any way.
Thank you very much, Clive. Donna, I'm going to come to you next. Just need to unmute, sorry. There we go. How comfortable do you think employees are going to feel about travelling again?
Yeah, I sort of echo really what Clive has said. I think they'll undoubtedly have lots of concerns and worries about their own safety and also the safety of any that they're going home to. They're going to want to be cautious. They will want to be fully aware of any current restrictions that are in place, understand if there's any enhanced safety measures when they're travelling, what the social distancing is. We know it's changed just recently, and basically what is allowed, what is acceptable and what is safe. I think personally we're through the education stage about what COVID is and how we understand it, and we're into that implication stage for the travellers, where the traveller is saying, what does the return to travel mean for me? So they're going to need reassurance. I think they will need that reassurance not only from their own organisation, but also from their social set. Your social peers are going to be saying to you, why are you travelling? Does your company really want you travelling? And is it safe? And as long as they're confident in answering those questions, I think they're going to be happy to do it. I think people are keen to get moving again when they're used to moving. And I also think there's a recognition that the risk around travel has moved from being an on-trip risk to a pre-trip risk. It's that understanding of where they're going, why, and is it safe? So.
Thank you very much, Donna. Same question really to Yvonne, like from a PA perspective, how comfortable do you think your employees are going to be about travelling again?
Okay, so as a corporate buyer of travel, I think is a major hurdle getting business travellers back on the road. It's getting people to feel more comfortable again in crowded spaces such as airplanes and in airports. I understand obviously that airlines such as American, Delta, Lufthansa are blocking middle seats to create more distance. But I say, returning back to the corporate viewpoint, I suppose engagement's important for us. We'll be listening to our business travellers and obviously keeping them informed. I think personally there needs to be an alignment of 3 different elements. So it should be the company confidence to allow our teammates to travel, obviously traveller confidence in our colleagues themselves, and also government permission. The 14-day quarantine at one or both ends is a complete non-starter for global business executives. I think we need to see more alignments amongst governments, more clarity on air bridges, quarantine times as well.
Okay.
As I say, business leaders and owners, they also have a responsibility for the mental health of their employees. And that includes colleagues who have to return home to vulnerable family members who might be shielding. They may have an elderly relative at home, or say a member of their family may have diabetes. And so, that's another consideration that we'd have to bear in mind.
Oh, thank you very much, Yvonne. Next question, we have corporate travel managers. Sorry, I'm going to direct this one to Donna. Corporate travel managers will have enhanced responsibilities in the post-COVID world. What do you think these are likely to be?
To unmute myself. Yeah, so this will be definitely an emphasis on duty of care. This is going to include looking at the current travel policy that they've got in place, revising it where it's necessary, revising current processes. So we're already starting to see updates from our own customers around an approval or an audit trail on allowing travel. It's about understanding where they're going, why they need to travel. So traditionally travel managers have understood the volume of their travel and where their travellers are going. I think going forward now it's going to be more in need of understanding why they're going. Do they need to travel? Can they do it virtually? And it's that whole justification piece around that travel. The travel managers are going to need to understand the mode of transport, the health of the traveller. Have they got any underlying health risks to stop them getting out on the road and travelling again? And any risk that's going to be en route and at the destination. I think there's going to be and I know we're going to touch on virtual in a little while, so I won't hark on it too much, but I think there's going to be an understanding of, can this meeting be done virtually? Technology will absolutely become more prevalent. Traveller tracking has always been really, really important, but I think it's going to be more about phone notifications, asking the traveller to check in a little bit more. And it's not about being Big Brother, it's about getting the traveller to understand that you're concerned about their health and safety. I also think travel managers are going to have to look at their leakage in a more controlled manner. We all know there is leakage on travel programs out there, but I think it's understanding, or the travel manager knowing that the leakage is there and knowing where their travellers are at any given time. And then it's more of the sort of softer touches. Are the right care packages in place? Have your travellers got the relevant face masks that they need to travel? Do any of your travellers need PPE equipment? Does that come under the travel manager's responsibility? Availability has always been a huge, availability has been the holy grail of travel, trying to get travellers to book as soon as possible. But going forward and starting to get back to travel, availability is going to be limited. So we need to encourage people to book sooner rather than later. And I think that will fall into the travel manager category as well. They're going to have lots of work to do, I'm afraid. And again, I think the travel manager will need to understand and encourage a change in behaviour. So when people start to travel, they might be more comfortable getting in a car rather than on a train. So it's being able to balance number of hours driving in a car versus risk in terms of getting on a train. And I think it's also balancing a cost against public transport over taxis to again align that safety fear.
Okay, thank you so much, Donna. Clive, I didn't know if you wanted to extend at all on that.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think Donna's covered most of it there, but I think, you know, the one piece that I think that stands out that travel managers need to do, and you know, they've always been the conduit between the travel management company and the traveller, and ultimately through to the supplier. And I think, you know, it is managing the human emotion of this, because travel is hugely emotion. Each of us are individuals, and each of us will react in a different way. Going back to your point about how comfortable they are traveling as an individual, and you know, will that require different decisions for people at different levels, or by actually allowing people to travel maybe above their grade to make them feel comfortable? So those decisions are going to have to be managed. I think it's absolutely critical that if they haven't already, is to build that relationship with their travel management provider, because the information flow, as Donna alluded to, is just the most critical thing, and it's changing all the time. And I think if you haven't got a business continuity plan that's been up to date, I mean, most people have as a result of this, but it's also to refresh that and manage that, because you know, there is a real risk of somebody traveling and downstream, the border being closed, and do you have an evac scenario to get them out of that? How is it going to work? You know, extending beyond the individual traveling, having to liaise with families. So, you know, I wouldn't fancy being a travel manager in the time coming up, because there's not only all of that to manage, plus your stakeholder, your budget to manage. I think in the short term, it is going to be quite an intense piece, but the most important part I impress on anybody in this is just to keep talking. And I think that will see maybe some travel coming offline for a time and having to get back and getting into conversations, but certainly the travel manager really keeping an open dialogue with their TMC partner and their travellers, and maybe even having all three around a table at a time to understand how each area feels. And the last part is, you know, well-being has been bubbling along at the sort of as a critical point, and I think, you know, that is now being raised up, and our decision is going to be made on the individual's well-being, or the safety or the security of the product that they're going to be using, and you know, how important is that going to be? And I think travel managers will have a responsibility of making sure that they secure that, and you know, have a way of presenting it to the travellers to make the decisions based on those facts, as well as just price or time and destination. So yeah, going to be a busy few months, but it's important, such a critical role to get their businesses back moving again, and have the UK economy being relaunched. So yeah, I guess our industry is there to help through that, but it is going to be a busy time.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be interesting the next few months. Right, Caroline, I'm going to come to you next. There will be a lot of promotion and reassurance for customers regarding cleanliness. What steps is the industry putting in place to reassure travellers?
So we've spent actually, although we might have appeared to be quite quiet over the last few weeks, a lot of time behind the scenes speaking to airlines, airport lounges, airports, hotels, chauffeur drive companies to understand what that is, so that we can better advise our clients And of course, you're right, everybody's been working behind the scenes to work out what they are. And there's still no global standard, for example, if you look at hotel safety and cleanliness. But some of the things that people can expect is that hotels, as they start to open, will be publishing their commitment to cleanliness on their website. So I would say in the first instance, if you're booking, to look at that and make, you know, you might not be able to understand the technicalities of the cleaning products used or the processes, but you know, try and get as much information as you can to understand that. What we're also seeing is that the hotel product, unfortunately, for those of us who do like a fancy hotel, is going to be a lot more like your more common garden budget hotels. So you can wave goodbye to robes, slippers, pens, notepads, gifts on your pillow at turn down, cushions, throws on the end of the bed, all of those kinds of things are going to be taken out, so non-essentials. Breakfast buffets obviously will bite the dust for some time. A lot of hotels will be pushing people to a room service type product, which is more like a takeaway left, you know, maybe in a paper bag on your door. Non-essential housekeeping will be cancelled, so it's going to be quite a sanitary environment. So I think the hotel industry as a whole, yeah, obviously they're competing because there's a lot of supply and less demand, so they're really going to have to shine. In terms of high car companies, what I'm hearing from companies like Kerry is, you know, that passengers will be refused unless they're wearing face masks. So obviously, as has already been said, making sure that passengers are travelling with the right PPE. Again, airport lounges, they will all be open at the same time. So again, that'll be based on supply and demand. So some travellers are going to have to do some research in advance to understand, you know, what their normal trip might look like and what's going to be available for them going forwards. But you know, even with the best will in the world, there are people, for all the reasons that Yvonne has mentioned, that will be nervous about travelling, and particularly those who are, you know, have been really diligent around lockdown. You know, the plane isn't going to arrive at their door and then take them, you know, on a private jet to the hotel. There's going to be a lot of interaction with people along the way that they've maybe not had so far, you know, thus far. And as Donna has said also, you know, things like a hire car or a chauffeur drive company might be more preferable to public transport. So what I might also see is that organisations are having to maybe send less people on trips, but maybe spend more on those trips to create that isolated environment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Caroline. Donna, same question to you. Promotion of reassurance for customer cleaning. Sorry, where are you, Donna? There we go. You might just have to unmute yourself. Sorry, I had to mute you. You had a bit of background noise. I can't unmute you, my end.
No problem.
There we go.
Yeah, really, Caroline's covered a lot here in terms of, it is in terms of understanding what those, and the suppliers are working really, really hard to give the traveller the reassurance that they are doing the right thing. So there's going to be enhanced cleaning, checking into a hotel. It's going to be encouraging people to use contactless methods, so checking in on an app, getting a key downloaded to a smartphone in the properties where that's available. Obviously, where it's not, then obviously key cards will go through a, you know, a cleaning routine. Trains are an interesting one. You know, it is mandatory to wear face masks, and it has been from the 15th of June. Interestingly, a lot of train operators aren't enforcing that. I think they're expecting their passengers to be responsible, and I think passengers will be responsible. But there will be some policing going on actually within the stations themselves. We're expecting most stations to have vending machines set up in them to get access to face masks. So if you get to a station you haven't got a mask, then hopefully people aren't going to go into panic and think I can't travel. I say lots of enhanced cleaning, both on trains, in hotels and on aircraft. Messaging around airports and stations in terms of keeping socially distanced. So the interesting thing for me this morning was after yesterday's announcement going from 2 meters to 1 meters, and I think there's still a bit of grey area in where that 1 meter is allowed. If you take a 2 meter down to a 1 meter social distancing on a train, it actually doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So we've checked out an Avanti Pendolino train, which has got 11 carriages on it. Normally takes about 580 people at 580 passengers. When you're travelling at a 2 metre capacity, that puts the number of passengers down to 115, which is about 20% of capacity. So again, it's down to that limited availability. I think everybody thinks because it's moved to 1 metre, that capacity is going to increase massively, but actually it doesn't. It changes that capacity to 161 travellers, which is actually 27%. So your capacity on train is going to be between 20 and 30% of normal capacity, and it feeds back to both the travellers and the travel manager, looking at making sure you're booking in advance.
Thank you very much, Donna. Thank you. Right, I'm going to come back to Yvonne now. Yvonne, do you think that platforms like Zoom, like WebEx, Teams are dramatically going to reduce the face-to-face meetings and disrupt current travel for meetings? You're on mute as well. Sorry. There we go.
Here we go.
There we are. Sorry.
I suppose nobody really has the answers to these yet. Personally, I don't believe that face-to-face meetings will disappear altogether. I'm hopeful that business travel will pick up in the future. This whole lockdown has disconnected us from our human relationships, and that obviously includes business relationships as well. You know, there's only so much you can actually do via Zoom. You know, it can't totally replace face-to-face meetings. Again, you know, people still need to network, learn, build relationships, and none of these things will change. I just think that there'll be less density and more hand sanitizers. I think people have got used to using Zoom as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm getting used to Zoom, although I feel like by the end of this day I'm going to be a pro at it. Coming on to Clive. Clive, what do you think? Do you think it's going to reduce face-to-face at all?
I think the word drastically is probably a bit too much. I think there is clearly this last 3 months.
We've frozen. Tell you what, we'll skip Clive just for a second, just till we get his connection back. Donna, did you want to touch quickly on this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so previously I think there was a huge amount of nervousness with people using virtual technology, but over the last couple of months we've had no choice but to use it. So I think even the most sort of tech phobia individuals have mastered using it to a degree, which means there's less nervousness around it, there's a little bit more confidence in using it. But there are still problems. Today I had an issue getting on Zoom because it's not my organisation's virtual tool of choice. We use Microsoft Teams. Zoom causes a problem for us. We can get on it, as you can see. But again, I agree that it's not going to disappear. I think it will take an element of meetings away, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be the organisation that makes that choice. I think it fits more in with a function within a business. So training and induction, yeah, you can probably do that online, and people may look at it from a cost-conscious point of view of doing more of that. It makes sense today. But if it's a sales or a customer-facing function, you want to be out there, you want to meet people. And I think also, let's not forget human nature in this. Individuals want to meet individuals. You know, people like face-to-face meetings, they like that interaction. And, you know, my other view is we're all a little bit sick of virtual meetings and we want to move on from it to a degree. We've seen a huge demand for virtual solutions in our business. We've had customers come to us to set up virtual events, virtual team building events, and that works really well. I think it'll be interesting to see what percentage of those remain within the next 6 to 12 months.
Thank you. We got Clive back.
Yeah, and there's the point. That is the point, that Zoom will never take over face-to-face meetings. I've been doing 13 weeks of these, and only today and yesterday BT have decided to drop out my internet about every 20 minutes for whatever reason. So yeah, sorry about that, everybody. But the point I was just trying to make was the kind of misconception that business travel is just about going for meetings. There's a huge amount. You can't go and build a hospital. You can't go and do medical research. You can't drill from an oil rig, and you can't go and do a number of things that physically need to get in person to go and do. So that aside of what we were saying, that I think there will be internal meetings will be questioned. The importance of getting back and establishing people. And from a UK perspective, we have a little matter of Brexit and trade deals being done all around the world. That the only way in the immediate future to get Britain back booming again is to get out and go and meet people, and for industry to go and sign new contracts or whatever it might be around and about. So there's two things, but I think it's here to stay, even with dropping in and dropping out possibly. It is a challenge, and it will have some impact, as it was having before from a sustainability point of view. And I think this has accelerated a little bit, but you're never going to get away, because you just miss meeting people, frankly, and that's the key way business is done culturally and every other way. So yeah,
I agree.
Can I just add one last point as well about redefining value and affordability of business travel? I suppose coming into competitive pricing, really, I think a lot of travel budgets in the latter half of this year and 2021 are going to be challenging. Economies are going to be squeezed. And so I think, people are going to actually question, again, is it necessary? So, as I say, I mean, it really is a question for, redefining, is business travel absolutely essential?
Yeah. I think it's something that's going to be coming up in the future, definitely. I mean, this is the big question. Realistically, when do you think, Caroline, the travel industry is going to be back up and running?
So we speak to a lot of corporates that, of all different sizes, and I guess we're seeing 4 categories. So some of the clients that we've got have never stopped traveling. So it could be tech companies where they're sending consultants out and about. So, through one way or another, they've managed to keep moving about as much as they possibly could do. A lot of our I guess the larger multinationals are saying they don't see anything really happening on their side until around about September. And then again, another group have said, well, we don't foresee travel and the requirement for ancillary services look like travel safety training and so on until around January next year, so early 2021. And then the fourth lot is really the conferences and events. So, for example, I was meant to be in Singapore in November this year. I've just had confirmation that conference has moved to November 2021. So a lot of the people who are doing multi-people, large-scale events are saying July 2021 at the earliest, which is pretty devastating for our industry. And also for somebody like me, who actually, for my mental wellness, I need that stimulation of travel. So it's a double-edged sword that, people want to get out there, but we've got to keep ourselves and our employees safe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get back. I just want to fly now. Donna, I don't know if you want to add anything to that at all. When do you think, realistically, have you heard anything different, or is it very similar to what Caroline said?
That was to me, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, Donna. Yeah.
Come on. Very similar to Caroline, really. I mean, we have customers who haven't stopped travelling. They've tended to be more key and essential workers. I think the opening of hotels from the 4th of July will encourage people to think about starting to move. We've had some new customers come on board who are like, we want to travel, but we get that there's limited availability. We cautiously think September, October, realistically Q1 through to Q2 next year. And again, back to the whole virtual meeting piece, some of that is going to replace some of the volume that we're used to getting. So we don't think it's going to come back at the same levels realistically for another 12 months. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Donna. Clive, I don't know, as an association, have you heard anything different at all?
No, it is pretty much the case that September is kind of muted. My last point, there is business travel still happening now for essential workers and some other key industries. But there's not the flight schedules, or even trains are only running at kind of 60-70% capacity, as Donna was explaining. So there's the two things that we need to catch up, and of course quarantine until that's removed and we can move forward. And the FCO advice is changed to reflect that you can travel. Then nothing is going to happen. So the reality is that I think it's probably September. As Carolyn said, you've seen a number of corporates saying that they kind of ban travel to the end of the year and really looking at next year. But I think some of that may come forward if we can get the right criteria in place from a governmental point of view in terms of air bridges or whatever, plus the fact that people are confident around the safety and security measures that are being put in. But really our industry is very much saying 2023 before we get back to anywhere where we were pre this thing happening. The rest of this year pretty much wiped out. I spoke to 24 suppliers, so airlines, hoteliers, and what have you, this morning on one of our calls, and I asked them that very question, and most of them, you know, what they're budgeting for the rest of this year, H2 this year, and most of them were between about 20 and 30% of what they'd expected, and that's what we see. So that gives a pretty clear indication of where we're all aiming to be.
Okay, thank you very much, Clive. Yvonne, what will be the long-term and short-term challenges for business travel at the moment? If we start with the short-term, what do you think is the biggest challenges at the moment?
I suppose it's very much the unknown, really, things that are beyond our control. For example, I mean, God forbid there's a second wave of infections on top of, you know, what we've already been through. And the fact that, you know, there are security threats, for example, terrorism and things that, you know, that are still there. I think the main challenges that we face really is there's more coherence from governments and the need for lifting of travel restrictions, more international cooperation. Because, you know, we do need to get the economy boosted as well, and more guidelines as well, more coherence and guidelines from the World Health Organization. I suppose from a company perspective, we need to get ourselves ready for what looks great when travel returns as an option, restarting a travel program. This is a great opportunity for us as well, you know, in businesses to start reevaluating opportunities for improvements in those travel policies and programs. That'll obviously involve input from legal teams and HR as well. You know, is it safe? Who can travel? And for what reasons are they permitted to travel as well?
Lost my mouse then. Thank you very much. Nearly over.
Another thing is, oh, sorry. Just one last thing as well that might be worth mentioning is the fact that, you know, I know that a lot of companies these days have been using Airbnb for business. I think there's, it's likely to mean a big decrease in the use of that because you've got less controls with, you know, ensuring beyond any reasonable doubt steps that they're taking for cleanliness, etc.
I suppose that's an interesting point, actually. So moving on, Caroline, same question to you. I mean, what do you think the long and short-term challenges are for the business travellers at the moment?
So short term, it's just such a dynamic, rapidly changing landscape because, you know, as we're seeing, you know, China are looking at potentially more lockdowns, borders are going to be opening, closing. You know, there's a brilliant resource which is the Safe Chore Getting Ready for Business, or Open Up for Business, sorry, interactive map, which I would, you know, encourage people to go and have a look at. And that gives you up-to-date information around which countries are open, where we've got quarantine, where we've got restrictions, which airlines are flying in, what the airlines require. And it's keeping up to date with that. Because as we saw with the beginning of the first wave, there was a lot of stranded passengers. In fact, some passengers are still stranded. And so repatriations were really difficult. So people really want to be certain that when they go somewhere, that it's not going to have to quarantine twice to do a 2 or 3 day meeting. So they need to understand how that landscape's changing and what the risk might be to them getting stranded. And then long term, it's a really positive implication. You know, we as an organisation have been banging on about duty of care and traveller health and safety and well-being and safety. This has been such a catalyst to really push that up to the top of the travel risk agenda. So I don't really see that any responsible organisation is going to send anybody anywhere without doing risk assessments around duty of care, physical well-being, mental well-being. And that can only be a good thing for travellers and open the eyes of the non-travelling travel bookers who suddenly start to appreciate, you know, that business travel isn't just a jolly.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm a little bit conscious of time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring on our sponsors for them to do their 2-minute pitches. I did have one more question for the panel, and we've got a couple of Q&As, but I'll come back to that at the end, and we'll ask you them at that point. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now with everybody. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's always the way. Firstly, I'm going to introduce as well Craig Chambers. He is the CEO from TBR Global. They're a worldwide ground transportation services, and they've developed and expanded a truly global organisation operating in 3,000 cities. So, Craig, are we on? There we go. If you just unmute yourself and your 2 minutes will start. Thank you.
Thanks. As mentioned, my name is Craig Chambers, Group CEO of TVR Global Chauffeuring. We're a premium ground transportation provider with 7 offices globally, servicing around 3,000 cities worldwide. I appreciate many of you may be anxious or apprehensive when booking travel, especially internationally after this crisis. But we believe that TBR can earn your trust, provide that peace of mind with the service we deliver. Now, I think prior to this crisis, we were well positioned as an organisation because of the premium nature of our service. We were very strict on our quality control with our global network and delivering things such as live global job tracking. So as a booker, you could see where the passenger was anywhere in the world. And this resulted in delivery of a world-class Net Promoter Score. If we just move on to the next slide. In terms of the new measures we need to deliver, clearly the world has changed and we've had to embrace that. So there are a number of different aspects, whether that be the physical changes that we've had to make to our fleet. So having partitions that separate the chauffeur and the passenger, separate air conditioning system as well to support that. The increased cleanliness that has to take place now, both prior to the job, during a job, and also at the end. I think the provision of PPE as well for both the chauffeur and passenger is critical, and also the ongoing testing of our chauffeurs wherever they are in the world. And I think also just sort of small aspects as well in terms of there's normally more of a physical connection between the chauffeur and the passenger, but removing that in terms of opening doors and dealing with luggage, and these are operational changes we've had to make. So I believe TBR are well placed to support you moving forward, regardless of where that job is in the world. So please keep it in mind for any future requirements you may have. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Craig. Hang on, if you just mute yourself and stay on in case there's any questions from the audience for you after as well. You can just join our panellists. Next up, we've got Neil Martin from Parker Car Services. Neil, are we on?
Are we on?
And there he is. There we go. Hi, Neil. You're all right.
Nice to see so many happy faces in lockdown.
Neil's been a customer service.
Yvonne, by the way.
Right, I'm going to let you go, Neil, and do your 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Neil from Parker Car Service. I'm the customer service manager here. And I guess the real question is, the industry is changing, and what's it going to look like post-lockdown? What can we do to build a trust and a relationship with clients? And I think it's important to understand that health and safety at this moment is paramount. And I guess our job is to ensure that we're not only proactive at this time with hand gel solutions, partitions, should you or should you not require, drivers disinfecting the vehicles between journeys, opening and closing doors, all those standard things, but be prepared to respond with immediacy going forward, because our reality is none of us really know. It's purely just conjecture. And I guess from our point of view, what we're trying to say is, as the largest independent provider in London, 30 years experience, we were here yesterday, we're going to be here tomorrow, and we're here today. And our job is to provide you with the service you require. It's not about me saying, we do this, 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 and this. It's about you saying, Neil, this is what we need to guarantee the safety and ensure that our passengers get the service we require. Because you have to trust us. We represent you every single time we pick up a client. We're not Parker Car Service, we're Manchester United or BP or BBC. And that's so important. And we can only work with it. How's it going to change? I don't know. What I know is that the security and safety and peace of mind is largely what business travellers are going to need going forward. I can tell you about beautiful cars and all that sort of stuff. But at this moment in time, in today's global crisis, what we need is a surety that the providers we choose will meet our expectations. And I guess that's what we're about.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Neil. Okay, so next up we have Gary from Not Just Travel. He's able to accommodate not only holidays but also business flights and executive breaks. Gary, are you on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I'm going to mute myself and you got your 2 minutes, okay?
Great,
Thank
good.
you.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary from Not Just Travel. And so what do? I organise business travel and executive away breaks, holidays, and holidays could be in cruising, could be river cruise, ocean cruise, bespoke packages, skiing tours. They could even be safaris. Obviously, everybody's obviously wanting to get on holiday now. So what can I offer? I offer a free concierge service. That means that I'm available when you need me rather than being the internet or just the high street. And I think the other important thing is that I'm available when people are away, because if things go wrong, they're the times that, you know, you need to speak to somebody. So there'd be me or somebody else who people could talk to while they're away if things don't go right. And what resources are behind me? So it's really important that, you know, if you see me as a one-person, one-man band, I'm part of Not Just Travel, and we actually come under the umbrella of Hayes Travel. And Hayes Travel is a £2 billion turnover business. So as well as obviously having a big support behind me, that also reflects in prices and the buying power that we have as well. And I think it's also worth saying that sometimes things don't always go right. Last year when I was in Tunisia, I had a customer in Dominican Republic, and I had a few WhatsApp messages because things just weren't right for him. We managed to get it sorted, but when we came back, we'd actually arranged a call, and I've got to say it wasn't something I was looking forward to, but the first words he actually said to me, so Gary says, the first things first, he said, I just want to thank you for being at the other end of the phone. And I was taken back, but it's really important that if things are wrong, that we need to put them right, because that's really important. And the last thing we do is kind of partners in travel. And partners in travel is where if we incorporate get the staff to start booking holidays, we can actually give part of the commission, either discounting staff's holidays, or you could actually use that money to actually go to charities. So this is Gary on a really, really positive side, not just who will book amazing holiday, because we all want to go away on holiday.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much, Gary. Oh, that was wonderful. Next up, we've got Vicky Townsend from National Express. Vicky's going to talk about transport solutions that they're currently providing to businesses to help get employees back to work. Vicky, are we on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you just yet. That's right, my assistant in the corner saying, I'm sorting it. There we go. Right, Vicky, you're up. Oh, you've got your 2 minutes.
Okay. So hi, everybody. I'm Vicky from National Express Solutions. No doubt you're already aware of what National Express do as a business, but you might not be quite so familiar with the corporate travel aspect of what we do. We own a number of leading private hire coach businesses across the UK. As I've only got 2 minutes, I thought I'd look at the points that I've been told that you're all keen to know a little bit more about. Firstly, risk assessments and planning for a safe office return. So we're currently providing over 20 businesses with bespoke dedicated staff shuttles, and have had over 120 inquiries over the last 4 weeks about what we can do to support businesses in ensuring their staff can get into work safely. If you know which staff you need to get into the office, you can simply literally send us a list of postcodes, we'll map out routes for you, and we'll send over our suggestions alongside the cost to provide the service. We'll work with you on the risk assessments, talk you through things you need to consider around staff welfare on their commute to work. If you don't know what your staff will want or you need support, we can help you with ideas moving forward and looking into the safe alternative to crowded trains, tubes and buses. Secondly, it was mentioned planning for a new kind of office Christmas party. Well, as well as staff shuttles, we offer ad hoc coach and car bookings for meetings, events and incentive travel. As bespoke bookings aren't considered to be public transport, if your staff decide they're not comfortable, for example, with wearing face masks, and you decide you're not going to have a policy to wear that, then you can choose the guidance that suits your business on board the vehicles. So for team days out, Christmas parties and general staff travel, going forward, we can make sure that where possible, the new kind of normal is already happening. Keeping teams well and motivated. Well, the buzzword at the moment is bubbles. So trying to minimise interaction with people outside of your bubble will be difficult when travelling into the office. So this is where the bespoke transport solution offering can help, as well as the safety aspect of travelling into work together. There's also, of course, a social aspect. So the time outside of work together can be priceless on rebuilding the positive office environment that's kind of been missing. So you probably all heard the updates yesterday about the guidance from the 4th of July changing from 2 metres to 1 metre on social distancing. But we can offer transport suited to your guidance based on what you and your staff feel most comfortable with. In terms of transport operators, they're all enhancing their processes at the moment, enhanced cleaning regimes, social distancing measures, temperature checking patterns.
Sorry, Vicky, just gone slightly over. Sorry, just a little bit on time. So we'll send out contact details after to all of the attendees. And we've just got one more quick video that we just need to show from one of our other sponsors, and then we're going to go to our Q&A. But please stay on because there may be questions from the audience for you. Okay. I'm just going to stop sharing that. Then I need to. Okay. There we go. So lastly, we have a quick video here from Terry Farthing, who is from London Jet Charter. It's London Jet for those who fly smarter. So let's have a quick look at this to see what he can do for us.
My name's Terry Farthing and I'm the Managing Director of London Jet Charter, based here at London Stansted Airport. We're passionate about our clients' safety and the service we provide. And I believe that nothing says exclusivity more than flying by private jet. And nothing delivers that 5-star luxury experience you should expect from flying privately than London Jet Charter. Whether you're planning a business trip, a golfing break, a significant anniversary, or the trip of a lifetime, from the moment you leave your home to the minute you return to it, London Jet Charter will smooth your way and make your journey a wonderfully memorable experience. We can arrange for car or helicopter transfers to the airport or airfield of your choice. Often you'll be delivered straight to the steps of your aircraft. If you're travelling in a group, we can arrange for you to use one of our network of first-class lounges. These offer total comfort and privacy, easy parking, complimentary drinks and snacks, and can accommodate from 2 to 200 people. No long queues, no waiting and no rush staff. Flying by private jet means that your schedule becomes our schedule. Check-in, customs and passport control are handled swiftly and efficiently, often just moments before departure. And once you board your aircraft, your wish becomes our command. Modern executive jets provide the perfect space in which to relax, dine, entertain and sleep. We'll help you to choose the size and type of aircraft that best suits your needs and budget, whether that be the latest turboprop or Airbus A320. Most include a variety of seating layouts, while options such as galley kitchens, toilets and even bedrooms are not uncommon. Throughout your journey, professional, well-trained ground crew, pilots and cabin staff will ensure your safety and comfort. London Jet Charter puts the glamour back into flying and prides itself on delivering the best travel experience. So call us today on 0203 432 449 to discuss your travel plans and budget. London Jet Charter, for those who fly smarter.
Perfect. Hopefully everyone can see that. So I couldn't see what was going on, so I'm hoping that was all okay. Yeah, all I can see was the video. Right, that comes to the end of our sponsors. Oh, hi Terry, nice to join you.
Hi Charlotte, you're looking well today. Nice to meet everybody.
Okay, so I do have one Q&A at the moment. I've got a question in the Q&A box. Before we come to that though, we missed a question out on the panel, so I'm just going to go back to some of our panellists, and I'm just curious to know, Clive, do you have any predictions for the future of business travel post-COVID?
Well, the first prediction I make is there's no post-COVID travel. It's travelling with COVID. And it's something I'm passionate about. We have to adapt that this is the case moving forward. Even if there's a vaccine, by the very virtues of vaccine, this is still going to be around. So we're adjusting around it. I think, you know, in all life, we've seen it before in these scenarios that there will be a period of readjustment and then things may drift back to normal depending on what happens. But business travel is critical for the UK. It adds 220 billion to the UK GDP, £600 million a day. So if we don't, start getting back to business traveling, then we're in all kinds of trouble even. And I think things such as masks and the various other criteria that are going to be around for a while, temperature checking at airports, are all going to come normal, as did going through security and getting all your laptop and lipsticks and everything out. It just becomes another new norm. But what is really critical in terms of business travel over the next time is, one, that the community, as all of us, whether you're travellers, buyers or suppliers, do not use safety and security, in my opinion, as a competitive edge. We need to build confidence as an industry to allow people to come back and travel. And that's for another day when we're rebuilding this industry. So I think that's the one thing that's changed, is the sense of community, and we must maintain that, of all working together to get everybody back travelling safely. And then we can all go on holiday and have a lovely time too, which is even better. So
definitely looking forward to that. Caroline, is there anything you wanted to add to that? Have you got any sort of future predictions at all? You're mute. There we go.
Not massively. It's not going to be my starring message, but I think the only thing to say, or the only thing that's certain, is that there's going to be uncertainty. And we're all professional people. We all plan ahead. We're all well-organised people. And what the last 3-4 months have taught us is that we have to be flexible, roll with the punches and be adaptive. And unfortunately, as much as we might want to plan the heck out of everything, that's probably going to be a thing of the past for the time being.
Thank you, Caroline. Right, so I'm going to go to this question now, this Q&A. This is kind of open to anyone really who wants to. If you want to answer this, or you've got something to say on it, just put your hand up and I'll come to you. Do you think business travel will be reduced moving forward into the new normal? Not just because of personal safety, but also because of the massive benefits for the environment, i.e. reduced carbon emission? I feel like, Gary, we've spoke about this before, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
If we talk on internal travel within the country, there's many people I've spoken to recently who manage teams of people, and it wasn't uncommon for us to send, or uncommon for them to send people to go for a 2-hour journey, an hour's meeting, and then come back 2 hours later. So I think there's questions that are going to be asked on that, certainly on the internal. And I personally think, and I know some people who do a lot of business travel as well, I think there will be a reduction in business travel because if you don't lose revenue or profit, and you can do it as adequately on Zoom, which people have really got used to now, I feel that could become more the norm. We won't lose it, but I think there will be a reduction.
Okay, it's interesting. I'm going to go to Clive, then I'm going to go to Donna, if that's okay, Donna. Clive, I've got you first.
Thanks, Carolyn. I think this was a move before this dreadful virus came around, that sustainability was becoming a huge issue, and people were looking at themselves. But it's important to note that the aviation industry in particular comes as a bit of a stick to this. It's made huge advancements over a number of years and moving forward, and continues to do so. Whether it can achieve its targets alone without the actual number of travel trips going down, I don't know. But if I just use the way I describe it myself as a consumer here, is what I was lucky enough to do was to take the benefit of some very low cost flights around Europe, and I would travel 3 or 4 times a year just because I could go away for a weekend. When I went on business, it was because I travelled. The discretionary travel is those 3 or 4 trips that I was taking, where I now seriously think I'm off on holiday to the UK this year for the first time. That's where one area of change will happen. But business travel will continue. We're already seeing a move to rail, and so not just domestically, but a big part of our members now are international rail around Europe, which is more sustainable. It's not clear or green, and equally looking at other ways. So yeah, I think there is a downward trend, but I don't think personally, and maybe some would say because they have a vested interest, that it will completely reduce. And I think the technology will catch up as well in terms of aviation, and we're a human race of just basically travellers, and that's what we like to do, and we will continue to do so. We will just amend our behaviour appropriately. So
fantastic, thank you. And sorry, Donna, you had something you wanted to mention on this point as well.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't that much different from Clive's. Actually, is that business travel will return. The demand will be lower initially, but I genuinely believe it will come back into. I think Plan will actually be different. People will travel slightly different. Some of that will be around the green and sustainability issue, but some of it will be around changing behaviours. People are working from home more or getting used to working from home more. Is the commute going to be different? Are the way suppliers distribute their peak fares or peak yield going to be is that going to be managed in a different way? So it absolutely will come back. I think we all totally believe in this industry and have faith in it. And people have to travel and people have to see each other face to face. And I think it will be a balancing act between whether the choice is over sustainability or cost. And I think it will be a mix of both.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, so that's our time. Thank you very, very much to my panellists today, to Caroline, Yvonne, Donna and Clive for joining us, and also for our sponsors. We've got Craig, so we've got Neil, Gary, Vicky and also Terry. We're going to be sending around to all the attendees details of the panellists and also the sponsors should they wish to get in touch with you directly. And if you've got any questions, always come back to us. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Okay, take care.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon. Cheers.
Bye.